Causes of loneliness in a relationship and how to eliminate it. The loneliness that arises in relationships can become harmful when it is not managed well. The psychiatrist Professor Dr. Gul conducted an assessment of loneliness in relationships. Here are some suggestions for eliminating loneliness in relationships. In the information age that we live in, digital and news environments, psychiatrist Professor Dr. Gul said loneliness has a broad spectrum. There are many types of loneliness. He pointed out that psychological studies have been particularly interested in recent times with the causes of loneliness. Gul said, loneliness was first described as an unpleasant and subjective psychological state. But then it is summarized as a reaction to the inadequacy of the social relationships a person needs or the lack of intimacy and emotional or intimacy that a person desires in existing social relationships. From this point of view, there are different types such as interpersonal unity, social unity, cultural unity, psychological unity, and loneliness in terms of the dynamics a person has established within himself. Sometimes it may depend on the situation, and sometimes the loneliness may become chronic or it may develop as a result of a social part. If you are wondering how much your car is worth, find out in seconds. Discover the new season collection online and in our stores. Are unity and loneliness the same thing? Noting that the meaning of the unit can change according to the situation. Gul said, being alone in a huge crowd is one thing, giving you an unpleasant, unwanted, painful and unpleasant feeling in the crowd is another. You can be alone and feel good psychologically, it is not called loneliness. There may be loneliness in the stage you feel it's bad. 1 in 6 couples feel lonely. Expressing that women are more sensitive to loneliness in relationships. Gul said, statistics show that 1 out of 6 couples feel lonely. When this feeling is not managed, it can harm the relationship. Thus, a bad state of the person's psyche arises. In particular, it appears in studies that women are more susceptible to it. In other words, women are more sensitive than men to loneliness. We need attachment, both biologically and psychologically. Assessing why individuals feel lonely while in a relationship. Professor Gul said this is due to individual reasons, environmental reasons and relationships. We need attachment, not loneliness, for our biological and psychological structure. It includes compassion, to be seen, to be cared for. It all happens from childhood. If there is a healthy connection in childhood, we see that connection in adulthood and we don't feel alone. Causes of loneliness in a relationship and how to eliminate it. Loneliness is a contagious emotion. Factors that affect the psyche of the individual temporarily or permanently, such as not discussing or reversing the emotions we have created with the other party, social problems and economic problems may also affect the relationship. It can also be said that loneliness is contagious. Loneliness can also be transmitted to you from the person with whom you have a very close relationship. Another factor is the people's problem-solving mechanism. Problem-solving skills in close relationships can also have an effect that can increase or decrease feelings of loneliness. Running away when there is a problem also increases loneliness. More than 2 hours of use increases loneliness. Noting that using social media for more than 2 hours a day can increase loneliness in a relationship, Dr. Gul said, it is not surprising that loneliness appears a lot, especially at a time when social media is used very actively. Relationships that arise on social media are as if, and these relationships have a different effect than the actual relationship. If the brain gets used to it. On top of that, it can lead to cognition, a slip into the imagination, and thus loneliness. In this way it can cause the loss of real relationships. The relationship through virtual reality is not real. Noting that dating sites have no scientific basis to eliminate the isolation of individuals, Professor Gul said, it is necessary to look at the studies. If you look at the relationship established through social media personally, from a meeting point of view, there is no problem here, but if social media defines how relationships will develop in the medium and long term, there could be a problem. In other words, if we always create and maintain a relationship through virtual reality, it won't be a real relationship. And warn that it will damage relationships. The healthy relationship is organizational in all aspects. Noting that a healthy relationship regulates a person biologically, Professor Dr. Gul said, when spouses move away from each other, we see complaints from the digestive system increase. When couples are in close relationships that are physically far apart, they have a physical response. This is the case with mirror neurons. Thanks to the more active mirror neurons are more active. Reciprocal regulation is provided with the transmitted stimuli, and physical and psychological relaxation is provided with the incoming stimuli. This is not possible in the virtual environment, he said. Causes of loneliness in a relationship and how to eliminate it. What do you do to avoid loneliness in relationships? Listing his suggestions for couples to eliminate loneliness in their relationships, Professor Dr. Gul Erelmaz said. Attention, awareness first. You have to be aware. It is necessary to know that this is a universal thing. It doesn't just happen to these people, and it can happen. But then you need to do research to solve it. Just thinking about it adds goodness and creates awareness. Learn to talk about emotions. Another suggestion is that you learn to talk about emotions. If parents do not show their feelings, they are offended, and if the problem-solving mechanism is based on divergence, then adolescents interpret the world in this way and begin to feel offended and not talk about their feelings. What is done affects the next generation. There is a transmission related to learning, both genetics and behavior. It is up to you to change that. Talking about feelings is hard, but he's learned. If you can't do it on your own, you can also get support. Transmission to group environments. An important animal experiment is taking place in 2014. They leave the mouse alone for some time. After a while, they noticed a change in their brain cells microscopically. Then they send the mouse back to its social environment. After a while, they looked at the neurons again and saw that this change had disappeared in the radiological findings. In other words, even a neuron can change, giving a biological response to loneliness. If this mouse had remained in isolation and reproduced there, it would have passed on to the next generation. The brain can change itself. It is necessary to move from an isolated environment to a group environment with networks.